going to push record right now. So I've already touched my face once. So what's up with you guys?
Sitting in the house. Things are going pretty well, I think. I feel kind of guilty expressing that, but we found a rhythm to the days. Working from home is I've worked from home for 2 years. Josh has some experience with it. We've got 2 small children, but they don't really talk. So I don't get a lot of questions. I don't have to hear a lot of whining. They sign, so I can kind of close my eyes and be like, "What? I don't hear you."
I noticed that, rightfully so, that when you see these press conferences from governors across the nation, that they have signed ASL interpreters off to the side, and the guy from Georgia, I believe, who a lot of people were saying looked like David Letterman because he's got a giant white beard. But it's neat for me to see that segment of society being more at the forefront than it, because it's like when you think about a national press conference from the president, why are there not signers for that?
That's a great question. I'm not sure. You would think more people would be watching,
I have watched more press conferences from Andrew Cuomo than I have from our own governor Holcomb here in Indiana.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know why that is. He's, I don't know, not to throw rocks at Holcomb, but Cuomo's kind of he's an attractive guy in many, many ways. And I don't know, I like that guy. He seems like a good guy. I don't mean that I think Holcomb is a bad guy. I think Holcomb is doing as well as I would have hoped under these conditions.
Right. The best he can with what he has and what he knows.
Now I'm seeing some, we try to keep these kind of apolitical, but hey, this is the world we live in. I'm satisfied with the level of, interaction's not the right word, that our local government in Richmond is having. But at the same time, I don't know, how are you viewing that? How things are happening locally?
I don't have much complaints. I think that there's a need for information, that people want to find a fall guy, and that people want to blame Reed Hospital. I see more than city workers, and I'm over it. Numbers aren't going to help us. Tests aren't going to help us. You should just assume that hundreds of people are infected and have been for weeks. Numbers aren't right anywhere. And it's just right. To find a fall guy is comforting. And there's not much comfort right now. Deal with it.
That's the thing is that, and I'm not saying this is right or wrong. I think just more as an observation that the last, somewhere within the last 20 years, there's been more of a movement in, at least in American society, I think, to, 20 years ago, you hurt your ankle, you quit whining and take a lap. And, and today there has been a farther swing away from that this is a gross over exaggeration of, well, let's talk about how your sprained ankle made you feel. I'm not saying that that's wrong. I'm not saying that it's too much or right. If take a lap was where we were before and let's talk about it is where we are today. Now I've talked myself. I had a genius point I was going to make and it's gone. This is my point somewhere there. All of my points that I ever make are hiding in a corner somewhere in the world, and I've yet to find them. But no, you were you were talking about there's a little bit of a get over it kind of vibe sometimes
with me.
Yeah, that's what you were saying. Go back to that a little
bit. My personality is still like kind of 20 years ago. Take a lap.
Okay.
I'm kind of a hard ass, and and I'm very direct, and that's a hard thing to be as a woman in the Midwest. But I see a lot of my attitude kind of a little bit right now is, you think this is hard? What are you going to do when the economy collapses? What are you going to do when there's the inevitable grind into a halt because there's so many that are sick and dead? Like, tough up, or buck up, as I like to say. Yeah, you ain't seen nothing, honey. You ain't seen nothing.
Well, and see, and that's where it's locally. Our just yesterday, I think it was maybe only 12 hours ago, the city issued a statement that they were removing the rims from the basketball courts, and taking some efforts to, because I know in the walks that we have taken around on the east side of town, the skate park. I personally have not seen it firsthand, but the skate park at Glen Miller Park is, I've heard on many different occasions, completely swamped with people on skateboards. I've personally seen, what appeared to be guys in their 20s probably playing a pickup basketball game at Test Middle School. And this was as recently as 4 or 5 days ago. And so I had seen where people were talking about, you keep abusing this stuff and they're gonna rope off the I think roping off the playground was something else that they're. Did I read that? Do you recall?
I think they've officially closed them, and then maybe roped some areas off, and they took out the rims. They took away the pickleball nets,
Right.
Things like that to avoid congregation of people.
Well, see what I've done. It's hard to see at this point what is an over. I don't want to use the word overreaction, but when are you doing too much to be too careful, too safe? And yeah, it's that old axiom of, you've run just as much, you are more likely to get run over by a bus than you are to die in a plane crash. That kind of thinking, just based on the statistics and stuff, I get where that logic comes from. But, now that this is whatever our current normal is, whatever everyday life is right now, I hear stories about, and I'm trying not to be judgy about it, but someone will get in a car to drive to a park to take a walk. Now, for me personally, I'm not doing that because with the randomness of an auto accident that then puts me in the hospital and puts me in the ER and potentially other people's, and then you're going to have physical interactions with first responders, I would feel like a real pain in the butt taking up a hospital bed for getting into a car wreck right now. Now, the other side of that is I've got a friend of mine who lives in San Francisco, and she has, similar to your situation, she has 2 very young children. And sometimes the only way you can get a kid to take a nap is to take a ride. And everybody's got a different set of circumstances within their own 4 walls. But I know for me, I'm trying to, I'll go for a walk. I won't go for a bike ride right now because I know I'm more likely to have a bike wreck than I am to trip and fall and hurt myself walking. So how is that how are you approaching that kind of stuff?
I agree with you about not putting yourself in anything that would burden healthcare workers, or that would put you within hospital walls unnecessarily. I'm extra cautious as well, as I'm 20 weeks pregnant, and I don't want to be near anything of that. There is talk.
Spoiler alert.
Yeah, spoiler alert. There's talk of, if a pregnant mother, and this could be different by August, but I don't know, I doubt it, that if a pregnant mother were to get sick, they would be quarantined from the baby for 2 weeks. Well, that's starting life with a hell of an ACE score, which stands for Adverse Childhood Experiences. That's very traumatic, and I would not want to put a newborn through that, have them start their lives that way. And also, I think I'm still a little bit of the hard-ass line of make yourself do things that are hard now, before everything is taken away, before you don't have a car, before nothing's really open because they're all sick or dead. So get used to it now. Build that mental discipline. And yes, it's very, very hard and it's very sucky. Then there's also the line of, I can't, I don't get anxious, I get angry. So I have to find the line of, I can't control what everyone else is doing, and that'll just make me crazy. And I also, part of mental discipline, I can't let myself go crazy because shit's going to hit the fan where I'm going to want to go a lot crazier. So I better get that under control right now.
Have you had any, over the last year or so, we've all, in the world of memes and stuff, we blame people like Karen or people. What is the male equivalent of the Karen meme? Is there a male equivalent or
Chad
Dad?
and Brad?
Okay. Well, have you had any? I saw a meme where somebody they were in line to get into a Walmart that had already started, like limiting the number of people in their space, and so there was like a line to get into the store, and the store was doing the best they can, I think, to a degree. I think there's maybe a little more these stores could be doing, but so that the line to get into the store, everyone is kind of spaced. They've got signs stay 6 feet apart and all that. Well, a woman had on the back of her jacket, I'm paraphrasing and cleaning it up, stay 6 feet away from me or I will pepper spray your ass blankety blanky blank. And, and the spirit of it, I am all about that, because the handful of times I've been out to where I've had to interact with multiple people like that in a store, most people in this area are not taking it seriously that I've seen personally. How has that been in your face?
I don't go out. If there's a grocery run that needs to be made, my husband Josh does it. And we have a milk angel. We go through soy milk pretty often in this house. And Samantha Bryant has been consistently dropping off soy milk to us, which is even lessening our need to go out. And spoiler alert, Josh and I have been following this since late January.
Yeah.
We knew this was going to happen. So we've stocked up. We got our money in line. We did everything that we needed to do, to knowing that we weren't going to or be able to go outside. So we were pretty prepared on that front.
How are things inside of your home? I mean, how are you as a family dealing?
My oldest son is autistic, and at first being off from school was really, really hard for him. He would just cry and sign school, and his eating and his toilet routines were disrupted. His occupational therapist told me that he's on strike. That's the first thing that kind of shuts down. They're like, I can control my eating and my poop, and you all can go to hell. And that was about like...
Tell him that's called a bobcat strike, and that's illegal because you can't strike unless you're in a union, I think. I don't know.
He recruited his brother. So
they held a union vote against you and Dad.
And at first that was hard. It was heartbreaking to see him sign school like that.
Yeah.
But then I contacted his teacher and really, quizzed her and got the lowdown of what his days at school were like, and started instituting that of our mornings, because he only went to preschool in the mornings. And that's done just a world of good for him. He seems to have a rhythm to the days. We try to get in the backyard, weather permitting, or go in walks along the neighborhood. And when we do walks around the neighborhood, people have been really good. I think partly because, we obviously have such young children. They cross the street. They turn the other way. I've actually seen someone just spin on their heel and walk the opposite direction. And we're so appreciative. So we haven't had any kind of issues like just walking in the neighborhood. And we try to get them really tired. Just get them so tired that they can't think. And that helps a lot. And then it helps me because I'm always researching activities. I'm, Googling how to make a 3-year-old exhausted, and that gives me, a sense of purpose and a sense of, things I have to do, which makes me feel safe. Josh is always the eye within the storm. So he's really good at keeping us all calm and using humor, but also, not sugarcoating anything. I'm a person who likes to know.
Yep.
So, he sits me down and says, hey, we're probably not going to die, but we're going to know some people who die. So get your grief stores ready. And, and I like to hear that kind of stuff.
Well, I first heard of this perspective, for lack of the right word. Neil deGrasse Tyson was on with Stephen Colbert somewhere within the last couple of years, and just not about anything specific, but about just the world and life and just anything in general in its broadest aspect. Would you rather have which would you rather make your conclusions from? More information or less information? I'm not getting that exactly right, but would you rather know or not know? And both of them, who certainly Tyson is a really smart guy, and Colbert's no slouch, and I fall into the same thought. I would rather I would rather make my plans based on an excess of information than not enough. Now, sometimes that information is going to be tough. Like it was, and again, now I'm not going to go political. The next week and a half in this country, in the hot spots like New York and maybe New Orleans and stuff, it's going to get really bad. The problem is that peak is going to roll across the country for the next 2 weeks before we finally nationally start to. I mean, I know there are so many people concentrated in the New York area, and I don't know what percentage of the overall numbers they have nationally right there in that one spot. But everybody that's behind that curve, right? Not the curve, everybody that's behind New York, those numbers are going to continue to increase for at least a week, maybe 2 or 3. That's the way I see it going. And so, like, when I see people as recently as yesterday, I'm not sick, I'm still going to do whatever I was doing, end of story, kiss my butt. Like, I don't know what you do with that.
They die, or their loved ones die. I can't be any franker.
No, well, anyway, let's just do a bad segue to a totally different subject. I don't think we ever announced it publicly, but you were going to be our June 1st, whatever the first Friday of April. No, June, not April. I said June. You were going to be our guest performer at the Department of Improv. And at this point, that's the next thing we haven't canceled yet, is the June shows. Still seems like that's a question mark, though, to me.
I think it'll be canceled, and I'm very, very disappointed about that. Like, I want to come back when things in 18 to 24 months, when I think things will be more normal. Yeah. I'm sad about it. I had a big speaking engagement in May as well. That's gonna, I haven't heard word on that, but that's gonna be canceled. That's just how it's gonna be.
For us.
Josh is never going to come to a pregnancy appointment with me again. I'll be lucky if he's allowed in the delivery room. I'll be lucky if I can stay the whole time for a recovery. And that's just, I'm not going to complain about it. You'll never catch me getting on Facebook bitching about that. That's just how it's going to be now.
I think it was yesterday or the day before that Dr. Fauci, somebody asked him, the question was, when will things go back to normal? And that's the thing. And the reporter was asking it in a really cool way of meaning we don't know what that normal will be, but and Fauci's response was like, do you mean, do we get back to a world where we don't know what coronavirus is and how it's going to, he goes, I hope we never get back to that, because everything that's happening right now is giving everybody more awareness. And I don't know how that could ever be a bad thing.
Mm-hmm. I don't think
whatever it is.
When this probably back in, oh God, what is it now? The first week of April. So back like the end of February and March, my job is to gather information, and you wouldn't believe the number of people who will answer questions just because you ask. And I mean that, and I love that. I love that. And I just started Googling popular Italian first names, popular Italian last names, putting it into Facebook, messaging people, looking up people in hospitals, looking up people who work for Amazon. And I've done dozens and dozens of interviews, and it is not encouraging. I don't think that will ever be an article. It's just not the time for it. But, for example, a top brass at Amazon told me that the supply line is permanently crippled.
It was the thing when it comes to the supply line, there's so much information that we're learning so rapidly, so much new stuff that we learn all the time. I think it was Facebook, I think, that donated like 1 million N95 masks or something like that to the cause. This was 2 weeks ago, maybe. And I know Facebook is a big company, and I mean, I can't begin to imagine. I don't know how many employees they have, but you have 1 million of these masks sitting around? Are you making strawberry Nestle quick powder for a living?
Zuckerberg!
I mean, I'm trying. It's like, what is the one thing in the house before all this started that you had the most of, and they've got 1 million of one thing?
I know.
I mean, I've got, I don't know, paper clips. How many, by God, paper clips does Facebook have? 1 trillion? An infinity? So I don't know. It's the numbers don't mean anything anymore. I don't think money means anything. I take that back. People on the bottom quarter of the scale, money means more to them than it does to everybody on the 75% above that. Because let's just print $2 trillion more dollars. Let's just print another $6 trillion. Money doesn't mean anything. It's just, I mean, I'm certainly not a smart guy, and I'm not an economics person, obviously, by the fact that I can't come up with a title to go with that. But that people just, I don't know. There's that part of me that just money doesn't mean anything. And I think about Star Trek in the future, because in the future on Earth, they don't look to go for personal gain of monetary gains or any kind of gain. They all work together collectively to better the species of human beings. And there's no, yeah, I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. I don't know Star Trek, but it's all right.
It's good. It is good, neat stuff. It's I don't know. Would you qualify yourself as having any kind of hippie blood in you? Are you a hippie at all? Are you a hippie?
A little bit. I'm a little too pragmatic for a hippie. My mom was an honest to God hippie, like
Yeah.
lived on a commune, dug ditches with my sister on her back. And by the time I was born in 1983, my mom was real jaded about that. And so, she was always, live off the land, you idiots, So I like the music, and I like the music, and I like some of the spirit of it, but I wouldn't say I'm anti-hippie though, definitely.
I think you just hit on it right there. The spirit of, can't we all just get along?
Mm-hmm.
Why? I mean, well, we know why, because there are jerks in the world. But the spirit of being a hippie, I love. The idea of maybe, I'm not going to put a label on people. That's not fair. I like taking a shit.
Really have the spirit of why don't we all get along takes a lot of discipline. And any of the, hippies I've known aren't the most disciplined people. It takes a lot of discipline to bite your tongue. And Lord knows I don't always have it.
And I use hippie I don't use that as a negative. I see the word hippie when I feel myself, I see a hippie as being someone that's connected to the universe, that's connected to this whole framework of from me to you, from you to Josh, from Josh to your neighbor, that I see when I think, hey, I just had a good hippie moment. I feel great about that. That's how I think of it. I also like to take a shower. But if somebody can still be happy with the world after maybe not showering for a few days, I say good on that person more for that. It's like the people that wear clothes that are like 5 sizes too small for them, that they clearly don't, It's like I, for example, shouldn't wear, I don't know, clothes for a 5-year-old because I'm too big.
Yeah.
But if that's a hang up that's on me. That's my hang up. That's if someone walks out of the house thinking, hey, I look good for you. And even though
Yeah.
maybe the rest of the world might say, no, you don't, that's on them. That's not on you. It's that whole you do you. And you do you as long as it doesn't keep someone else from doing the same for themselves. That's, you do what you want to do. I'll do what I want to do. And as long as that doesn't rub up against it, I don't know. Is that a hippie? I think that might be a hippie.
I think that might, yeah. I definitely think it's not a hippie.
Right.
And I think that certainly takes a level of tenacity that a lot of people like to pretend they have, but they don't really.
Well, we're going to have to do more of these, me and you, because I like talking to you. And we don't know each other that well. I mean, we've been around each other, but we've never really just, talked.
It's true. I would enjoy that a lot.
So
I enjoy getting to know you.
You say that now. See, that's the corny joke that I'm obligated to make there. But no, I will give you credit for putting some of you do a better job at putting aside what may be a philosophical or political belief and accepting someone, I don't want to say in spite of that, but you can compartmentalize the person and their belief system better than I can. Because I know there are certain people, certainly nationally, and of course, and locally too, oh, I know I've seen you say this, 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 and this, and I need nothing from you ever, and it's, I need to work on that. You do a lot better job of that than I do.
I have a problem with that. And I've never noticed you at least be mean about it.
I'm not mean about it. As soon as I shut my computer off, I am.
But I've never seen you attack someone. So at least there's that. But I think it's a big weakness that someone should work on if they can't kind of set that aside a little bit, just personally.
I agree.
I think that's,
because you're calling me weak. And you're
not
wrong.
I'm sorry.
Sorry. I mean, I've been me my whole life, so you're not wrong. So okay, let's wrap this crap up, but do me one funny thing that's happened recently, like within your home.
Let me think. Well,
or a thing, whatever it is. Big deal, small deal, happy, sad, something that just something.
Oh, I should have had this prepared. My youngest son has been very into his penis and potty humor, and that's just a level of hilarity. He loves the head, shoulders, knees, and toes song, but we added butt. So he just goes head, knee, butt. And he's always yanking, pulling down his pants and yanking on his penis. And we try to be real casual about it because, we're just oh yeah, look at you, there's your penis. That's very nice. And having to keep that straight face, and I'm always like, right. Josh, is that okay? Doesn't that hurt him? And he's like, oh, he's fine.
Yanking too hard, he'd know right away if he hurt himself, if he yanked too far or too hard. Okay. So the challenge for you will be to decide at what point in his life can you casually yank on your penis, right? versus when it's a problem. Now, there are times and places for everything, and anything just about anything in moderation is a positive. Certainly, you are years away from it being a problem, but nothing like a good penis yanking story to make your day go.
So that's just been really interesting. I tell him, I was like, oh, luckily you're this close. You're this, sexual harassment, but you're really young and really cute. But we're gonna have to talk about some stuff,
Yeah. Well, on that note, how about that for a closer?
How about
Um,
that?
well, yeah, we'll do some more of these. Maybe, I don't know, once every, it's like, we don't know how long we're going to be here. So it's not like we're not going anywhere for a while.
It's true. I'd really enjoy that.
Well, give everybody whatever is the appropriate level of familial embrace that could be delivered from me and mine. And I'm sorry that we can't do improv.
But we'll do it again. Like, you're not just gonna like not do it. We're just gonna wait.
Oh no, we're gonna totally
Wait.
just do it another time. I mean, maybe if things are good enough, what would be funnier when you're 8 months pregnant than you being 8 months pregnant?
Right. I waddle. Waddling is super funny.
Well, and that's okay. So I could just keep. All I do is ramble. So I will say goodbye to you, and you have a wonderful Tuesday.
All right. You too.
See you, Megan.
All right. Bye.
All right, bye.